Georgia State football's headed to their second bowl game in school history, headed to the AutoNation Cure Bowl down in Orlando on Saturday, December 16th. We're talking Panther football today with head coach Shawn Elliott and senior quarterback Connor Manning here in the Georgia State Sports Update. Hi again, Panther fans, and welcome into the Georgia State Sports Update. Dave Cohen joined by head football coach Shawn Elliott in the opening segment here. An exciting time for Georgia State football. A low on Saturday with a loss to the Idaho Vandals, and then a high on Sunday afternoon this past weekend as they received a bowl offer, and that's going to be the AutoNation Cure Bowl, Coach. The second bowl bid in the very short history of this Georgia State football program, and down to Orlando to face the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers.
Yeah, you couldn't be more proud of our football team becoming bowl eligible and then getting the invite to the AutoNation Cure Bowl. I mean, who doesn't want to go to Orlando during this time of the year?
Right.
And, it's going to be a great experience for our football team, for our fans. I mean, I know we'd love to have as many fans that can come out and support us, but what an opportunity and a reward for a hard-fought season that our guys have been through, because we fought to win, our 6 ball games, stumped our toe here and there, but really pleased that we have an opportunity to go play Western Kentucky.
Yeah, happy for a lot of these football players. Number one, the seniors, 22 seniors were honored before the game on Saturday, yet at the same time, the freshmen, the young guys come in their first year and get to experience what it's like to participate in the postseason.
Yes, and that's exactly what we want to do. We want to build a culture to expect these things to happen. And it's funny you mentioned the freshmen. At one time, we turned on our film from last Saturday, and there was freshmen everywhere on that. I mean, they were just popping up, and so they're excited about having the opportunity to experience their first bowl trip, and then to send our seniors out with this vacation opportunity to play and get that last win against Western Kentucky is exciting.
One thing I know you're happy about as a bowl participant this year, you get a few extra practices with everybody before you leave for Orlando.
Yeah, you do. Not as much as you typically do if the game was a little later. We're extremely banged up, so for us to go out and really take advantage of the opportunities, it's going to be hard because we lost our center last game. Kyler Neal's out. So many injuries. That we've got to rest up, and we've got to actually be prepared for that final week of practice to prepare for the game. So we're going to practice 3 times and keep it I'd say a little low key,
yeah,
and make sure we can get some of these guys back to have all hands on deck for the bowl game.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the game this past Saturday against the Vandals of Idaho. Final score 24-10. Final game of the regular season. Final game this year in the Georgia State Georgia State Stadium.
Yeah. Turnovers. I mean, it's just you look at it. You fumble on the one. You bring the opening kickoff of the second half out and fumble. I think the very next possession on our second down run, DeMarcus Kirk has a fumble. Have a mismanagement of a play there right before the half going in that we should have got at least 3 points or having an opportunity to put 3 points on the board. It was a foolish football game, and something you cannot do. I tell our football team and our staff, we're not good enough to go out and have misfortunes like that and have an opportunity to win ball games. Yeah. And it certainly was the case on Saturday. Well,
Georgia State again falling to the Idaho Vandals by the final score of 24-10, and as Coach just said, you can't fumble the football. And scoring points at home this year. If you go back, I think in 4 of our games at home, we managed to score a total of 10 points. I mean, for whatever reason, we had a tough time scoring points here at Georgia State Stadium.
Yeah, for whatever reason it was, a lot for the opponents that we were playing, a lot, just from carelessness for us offensively. Just, so many times you get in the red zone and you don't have the opportunities to score. I think I remember back to Troy, we're in there 3 or 4 times, come away with no points. Again on Saturday on the 1-yard line and have that fumble, which is just, that stuff takes some things out of you. But I tried to, in telling our football team and learning how to win those types of games. Those misfortunes shouldn't discourage you. We've got to have those things more so encourage you to bring you back to fight harder.
Right.
And we're just not right there at the moment. I mean, disheartening. Their heads would drop, and certainly not in a give-up manner. But those things have to make you want to fight and become a tougher-minded football team to say it's not happening again. Right. Whatever it may take, and we still got a ways to go, but we're moving in the right direction, which is always a plus, and I'm extremely proud of what we've accomplished. That loss does diminish our season a little bit, but we have an opportunity to go play Western Kentucky in the Cure Bowl and spend a few days in Orlando, and I think it's a great opportunity to propel our football program.
Well, one of the highlights from the game on Saturday, and that was Penny Hart, picked up 73 receptions on the season, which is a single-season record now, which, again, it's an individual record, but he's such a vital part of the offense that his numbers really are very reflective on a number of different areas when the offensive unit's on the field.
Yeah, Penny went out Saturday, had his big play, brought it down there to about the 4-yard line, and twisted his ankle, and so we lost him for the rest of the game.
Right.
But what an accomplishment for Penny, and he's certainly deserving. He's one of the more dynamic football players that we have, and electric. He's the spark for us. So we took a little hit when he went out, but
right.
Man, I'm proud of him, and he's going to bounce back, be able to go in this bowl game.
Yeah, that'll be big for Georgia State. Part of the reason why Connor Manning leads the Sun Belt Conference in completion percentage, not just because of Penny Hart, Penny's a big part of it, but because there are so many pretty good receivers on this football team.
Well, I mean, Penny's, of course, an electric receiver for us. And we got some guys out there, Gentry stepping up, making plays, Glenn Smith out of the backfield. At times Roger Carter and Ari Wart step up in the throw game as well. So we've got to continue to do a better job of spreading the wealth. And then we got to get some, we got to get out and get recruiting and bring in some guys who can match the Penny Harts and give us that spark. But we do have a good collective group of wide receivers, and they've done a good job.
Yeah, definitely, too, when you talk about recruiting, when it comes to the running game. We've talked numerous times about, this team. And they were up and down this season with regards to the running game, and it has certainly gotten a lot better than it has been the last couple of years. I just wanted to get your comments on a very quiet guy, Glenn Smith, 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving, 1,000 yards return for his career. That says a lot about the kind of player he is. He does not say a lot, but he says what he says when he's on the field.
Yeah, I think he's one of three active players in the country with those stats. So, he does a good job. It's return game, it's in our throw game, it's in our run game. He's pulled in so many directions, doesn't say a word, gets the job done, goes out, and it's a solid effort every week that he goes. And, going to miss him, certainly.
Before we take a look at some of the highlights from the Georgia State-Idaho game here at the stadium last Saturday, a 6-win season. And we were talking on your radio show about, those early expectations on your behalf, like coming brand new into a program. Like, what were those early expectations? As you look back at it now, this is a 6-win team, and you're in a bowl game.
I think it's fantastic, to tell you the truth. I really didn't have expectations. I wanted us to grow as the season progressed and not really put a lot of pressure on it. Georgia State had only won 6 games one other time. I believe it was in FBS.
Yeah, the first year.
So to have the opportunity to do that, go to the second bowl game ever, and now we have a chance to set another standard by winning this bowl game. Is exciting for our football team. I think, if you look back over the course of the seasons, we learned how to fight. We learned how to really fight and get these wins. And I've said it a couple of times. We limped to the finish, so to speak, because just injuries and things that took the course on our guys. Not an abundance of depth on the offensive line, and you can see how it just kind of diminished our offense there in the second half. As soon as Pax goes down at center, we have to move Gabe back in there at the center position. He was starting at right guard, and then we moved Lucas Johnson in there that had an ankle injury that was out the previous game that had to go play. And it was just one of those unfortunate circumstances that you had to do it. I didn't want to waste a redshirt year on one of the freshmen that we have that's going to be a really good player on really just one contest. So we kind of bit the bullet and said we're going to stick with it and see how we do. And we came out on the wrong end of it. But you got to make tough decisions like that to better your football program. And we're going to be better off with holding him out and preparing for our future. So we're going to be okay.
All right, again, 24-10, the final score. Last Saturday, Idaho comes in and beats Georgia State here at Georgia State Stadium. Right now, let's take a look at some of the highlights.
14-yard line, shotgun snap, middle of the field. Connor Manning. Manning going to keep it on the ground again, right up the middle. Glenn Smith at the 5, into the end zone, touchdown, Georgia State. Out of the shotgun, Duckworth just to his left. Faking a handoff, and he's going to get nailed from behind. What a great job by 37, Victor Hayward, the freshman.
Back here with Georgia State's head football coach Sean Elliott. Georgia State now getting ready for the AutoNation Cure Bowl down in Orlando, and a great way to close out the 2017 season. For the Panthers are going to take on the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky down at Camping World Stadium there in Orlando. And again, a great place to go and play a bowl game. Panthers have been there once before, so this is their second bowl game. And again, it's a feel-good end-of-the-year story for this Georgia State football team. There's been ups, there's been downs, there's been ups, there's been downs, but a great way to finish it here at the end.
It is. It's only fitting. I'm just telling you, these guys have really worked hard and done a great job in just challenging and everything we've thrown at them to go down there. This is my third opportunity to go and have a bowl game in Orlando. If it's like the past experiences, Orlando is a phenomenal place this time of year. So much to do. It's an exciting place. I can't imagine. I can't wait to see our guys' faces. Can't wait to see our fans because it is such. There's so much going on, and then for us to have the opportunity to play Western Kentucky right there in the AutoNation Cure Bowl. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. I think it's the best bowl slot in our conference.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of other coaches in our conference do too.
I would say Orlando and the RL Carriers Bowl in New Orleans. If you're into the whole New Orleans scene, that'd be kind of a cool place to go.
Well, I don't know. I'm sticking with Orlando is what I'm saying.
All right, coaches going to Orlando, so I guess we're all going to Orlando. Georgia State and Western Kentucky. Georgia State's only had football for 8 seasons, so the culture of college football is still really, in reality, in its infancy. But this is a great opportunity, not just for the Georgia State football family within the inner circle, but as you mentioned, for the fans.
Yes.
To come on down to Orlando and be a part of the Georgia State football family at an event like this.
Listen, I can't think of a better way. I mean, if you're a Georgia State football fan, why not get in the car, jump on a plane? I mean, great flights down there to Orlando, really, really quick, cheap, affordable. To have the opportunity to spend that time in Orlando to see our Georgia State Panthers play one last time in a bowl game. Like you said, we're only 8 years in existence right here. Yeah. This is a big opportunity for our football program. We need the support. I know our players feel it every time they see a fan. I mean, it's amazing to know just what we've accomplished. So we would love to have everyone come out. I mean, I can't stress to you enough the excitement. I mean, we're an open football team. If you want an experience to come out and watch us practice, whatever it may be, but we'd love to see you in Orlando.
And, of course, you can get ticket information on the Georgia State-Western Kentucky matchup of the AutoNation Cure Bowl. Visit GeorgiaStateSports.com, and you can get the latest. You can also call the Georgia State ticket office at 404-413-4020. And, for Western Kentucky, they lost 4 of their last 5 football games. Yeah. Very briefly, when Georgia State was coming into the Sun Belt Conference, we've played them once at the Georgia Dome. We were in the league together, I think, for 1 year, and then they left the Sun Belt for Conference USA. So this will be the second matchup between Georgia State and Western Kentucky.
I'm looking forward to it. I've got a couple great friends on that staff, so it's going to be interesting to go down there and visit with those guys and then compete against them. But what an opportunity. What an opportunity. I mean, both are new staffs. This is both staff's first year at both the respected universities. So we look forward to a great matchup, a good week, and just going down and trying to pull out that victory.
Lastly, one thing about Western Kentucky, they struggle to run the ball. They only average 66 yards on the ground per game. They've got a pretty good quarterback, though. Another one of these quarterbacks who can hurt you in the air. He's thrown for over 3,000 yards, but he can also run the ball.
Yeah, he certainly can. I mean, he has the ability. I think he's going to the Senior Bowl with Sully from our team. So it'll be interesting for those guys to match up a little bit. But, yeah, they throw the ball extremely well, and, we're going to have to go out and we're going to have to defend that. And, you know, I like to think the team that can run the football the best is going to win. So we'll go out there and see what we can do. But what a great matchup.
All right, Coach, appreciate it, and we'll see you down in Orlando.
Yes, we will.
All right, again, visit GeorgiaStateSports.com to get ticket information for Georgia State Western Kentucky in this year's AutoNation Cure Bowl. Stay with us here on the Georgia State Sports Update. Coming up next, we'll talk Georgia State football with senior quarterback Connor Manning. Joining us now on the Georgia State Sports Update, Georgia State quarterback Connor Manning. And for Georgia State, a tough loss against the Idaho Vandals. But the best news came on Sunday. Panthers found out they were headed to their second bowl game and right back to Orlando like the Panthers played in 2015, the AutoNation Cure Bowl. And congratulations on helping to lead the team to the program's second bowl game. And I guess a nice way to cap off what was a tough weekend. But knowing that there's one more game, and I know you're looking forward to all these practices coming up here for the next couple of weeks.
No, yeah, it's very, very exciting for our program to get back to the bowl game. You know, we ended the season on a sour note, but, you know, we're just blessed for the opportunity to have one more left.
You know, the interesting thing about this football team, and you were just here with us on the show a couple of weeks ago, and I know we talked about it, and I think we were heading into the Appalachian State game. Final two games were at home, but just how tough it was this year for this team to win home games. And I know Troy and Appalachian State, two of the top three teams in the league, we got them at home this year.
Yeah.
So we knew those were going to be tough games. But it just seemed like this team was such a better road team than they were here.
Something about it, I think just our mindset, way we approach it. I know Coach Elliott will fix that next year of, you know, home games, but I feel a lot of our home losses were kind of us shooting ourselves in the foot. Well, really all of our losses. It just seems like a couple plays here or there where we just can't get out of our own way.
Yeah.
And especially these last two games. But it's a good learning experience for our guys, especially a lot of our younger guys that are going to be back here next year.
Well, you know, you talk about the top three teams, and Troy, regular season winner there with Appalachian State and then Arkansas State. You know, we'll go back 2 weeks to the Appalachian State game. That was a 3-point game at halftime. They led 10-7 at halftime. That's anybody's football game.
Yeah, I think it just comes to show, you know, where the direction our program is going.
Right.
You know, Appalachian State, they set the standard every year for the Sun Belt. And we were, you know, going toe-to-toe with them in the first half, but the second half we just, kind of like I said earlier, we were kind of shooting ourselves in the foot, not converting on some third downs, and just you know, couldn't get out of our own way.
Yeah, and when you say that, I mean, that usually turns out to be, you know, turnovers. And, you know, for example, with Idaho, well, really with Appalachian State, they had two big plays. One was an interception, and one was, you know, a run play that went for 60-plus yards inside the 5-yard line. That game really came down, I thought, just to recap App State real quick, two plays in the second half that were huge for them.
Yeah, I think it was a big momentum changer.
Because that lead went from 10-3 to, I think, 24-3.
Yeah, just like that.
Just like
so
that.
It was tough to rebound. You could feel it, you know, in the stadium, the whole energy. But that was definitely unfortunate, those two plays, and then Idaho's kind of turnovers and just shooting ourselves in the foot.
Again, we're talking to Georgia State's starting quarterback, Connor Manning, and the Panthers live to see another game. They've earned their second bowl bid. That's going to be so much fun going down to Orlando. And that's really the goal at the beginning of the season, is to get to a bowl game. And for this team to bounce back from a 3-9 season a year ago, win 5 of their 6 games on the road, as you said a minute ago, says a lot about where this team was and about where this team is right now.
Yeah, I think credit to, you know, the coaching staff that came in here. Since day one, you know, they set the standard of where this program is going to go. And, you know, our players, we bought in, and for the most part, it showed throughout the season, especially on our road wins. We would battle the whole game, you know, face adversity and come out on top. So just credit to our coaching staff, and I know all of our players, we're very excited to get back to a bowl game. And to be able to go down to a place like Orlando, you know, it's a pretty cool spot. So we're very excited.
It's always interesting how some of the Sun Belt Bowl configurations fall, because the AutoNation Cure Bowl, which again we were there in 2015, great place to go. That goes to the 4th place team. Third place team goes to Montgomery, Alabama, to the Camellia Bowl. No knock on any of the bowls, because we'd be happy to be in any of them. But as you said, it's great to go down to Orlando. Let's talk a little bit about your season. You led the Sun Belt Conference regular season completion percentage, almost 64%, 261 yards passing a game, 13 touchdowns. You had a good season.
Yeah, I think, you know, I obviously give credit to where credit's due, and that's the players around me.
Right.
My offensive line, for the most part, they did a great job all year, giving me time. And, you know, I have playmakers on the outside. I think that's huge for me to just be able to get the ball in their hands, make me look good.
All right, and lastly, what are you looking forward to as you get ready? I know you got a couple of weeks of practice here, a week and a half of practice before you head down to Orlando. Did you go to any bowl games while you were at Utah, as far as the experience of the event?
Yeah, we were, my last 2 years, we were at the Vegas Bowl twice.
Okay.
So that was pretty fun, especially my last year. We played our rival, BYU.
Yeah.
So that was a very cool experience. So I kind of know, you know, the atmosphere of bowl games, and Orlando and Vegas. I mean, it's differences, but there's, you know, big cities, I guess.
Yeah.
So it should be a lot of fun to be able to go down there.
All right. Well, Connor, great having you on the show again. Congratulations on a 6-win season, and best of luck against the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky in the AutoNation Cure Bowl down in Orlando. We'll see you down there.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. I want to thank Georgia State quarterback Connor Manning joining us here on the Georgia State Sports Update. Back here in the Georgia State Sports Update, a tough loss on Monday night here for Georgia State. They fall to the Flames of Liberty in overtime by the final score of 77-74. Georgia State now 5-3, and they've got the Montana Grizzlies coming in here on Saturday. But Brandon, I'm joined by Brandon Leak and Sam Crenshaw. But Brandon, tough one. You were with me on radio, and there were times that we felt really good about this ball game. Georgia State had a double-digit lead, led by 16 early in the second half, and really it was Ryan Kemwright for Liberty that started the onslaught of those threes. They had 8 threes in the second half that really brought them back into within striking distance, and ultimately that's what won them the ball game, the three-point shot.
Yeah, three-pointers, the story of the game, Dave. The Panthers got up 15 points and were really in control of the ball game. One three-pointer goes down, a second goes down, a third. Now you have a hot shooter. Now you have a bench that has a little bit of life on the sideline, and now everybody tries to get involved to try to come back and win the game. It was unfortunate because we shot so well, shooting over 50% as a team, but how many times will we ever see a team shoot more than 50% from behind the three-point arc? And they just made a lot of shots, and a lot of tough shots that were really hurtful.
And Sam, we're talking about a Liberty team that came into Atlanta after not a single, not a double, but a triple overtime loss to UNC Greensboro. And I'm thinking, well, you know, who knows how their legs will be? Well, they had their legs not only in the first half and the second half, also in overtime.
And talk about a guy that got out to a slow start for them, Scotty James, maybe feeling a little bit of that. But as time went on, they got momentum. Another guy you got to talk about, too, is Lavelle Cowbell. I mean, who hit some big threes, even with a bloody nose. He came out with cotton in both nostrils and kept right on playing. That's determination.
Yeah, he hit some big threes as well. And you mentioned Scotty James, 1 rebound shy of a double-double, 17 points and 9 rebounds. I guess the tough part of it, and we all watched this game, was a game high and a career high, 35 from Georgia State's DeMarcus Simonson. He made big shot after big shot after big shot, especially late in the second half, and really a couple in overtime. But what a great line score from him. 35 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals.
Yeah, DeMarcus did everything but keep score and, you know, check tickets coming in. I mean, he did everything you could ask a guy to do.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was 100%. He's never going to complain about injuries. Came out with a left leg sleeve and still had explosiveness late in the ball game. A big shot, almost hit the game winner in regulation, and was still looking for his teammates. I think that's the big thing. Even scoring 35 points, he was still driving hard to the basket, but still leaving angles for his teammates to get drop-offs if he had the ability to do so. But he didn't have to. He was blowing by his man, and there's not much more you can ask of him after the performance he gave tonight. It's just unfortunate it didn't come in a win.
One thing that Brandon and I talked about in the pregame show on radio was if you look at the body of work for DeMarcus, Sam, everything is there. The one area where obviously, you know, I'm sure he wants the numbers to go up is a three-point shot. Boy, did he hit a big 3 late in the ball game out of know where that came from, but he knocked it down, and that was big at the time.
It really was big at the time, and for him to come through at the time that the team really needed him to do it, he makes that big shot what his team really needed. But gosh, down the stretch, like home team said, you wanted to make the one at the end of regulation. That could have been great, a great way to send everybody home. But then talk about this Liberty team and the way they had lost theirs in triple overtime. Some incredible shots, I understand, that North Carolina Greensboro made against them in that game. And I guess in some kind of way they feel like it went back their way in this game tonight.
Malik Benlevy had a pretty good game, 13 points, 5 rebounds, and Devin Mitchell 12 and 4 with a couple of steals. Georgia State ends up with 7 block shots and 7 steals. They still struggled from the free throw line tonight in the ball game on Monday night, 11 of 18.
Yeah, you shot less than 70%. So when you start to look at a loss by one possession, you have to look at everything, and it all adds up at the end of the day on the ledger. Some missed free throws, some untimely turnovers. We gave up a few too many points in the paint, and I think we gave up too many offensive rebounds. And so the little things throughout the course of the game, added up to one possession, making the difference at the very end. So I don't think there's anything to hang their heads about. I think it's just more of kicking yourself that it could have been a cleaner game, especially when you were up double digits. And I think the lesson to be learned is when you're up 15, let's get up 20. When you're up 20, let's get up 25. When you're up 25, let's send the visiting team home a little early and try to get up 30.
Hand them a couple of pizzas and send them to the bus on Collins Street.
Thank you for buying the popcorn, and we'll see you next time.
All right, lastly, Montana Grizzlies in here on Saturday. When was the last time we ever said that the Montana Grizzlies were here? Never. We've played them once before, but it was out in Missoula, and they're coming into Atlanta, which means we're going to have to return this game next year. But because of the way the game ended on Monday night, the overtime loss, man, you wish that game, I'm sure, would be a little earlier, and you don't have to wait now till Saturday.
I know, but it is the second of 3 in a row at home, and you know what you want to do. You want to take care of business because you have more road games before you break for the holidays. So this one coming up with Montana is an important one for this Georgia State basketball team.
All right, again, the final here in overtime at the Sports Arena. Georgia State falls to Liberty 77-74. Georgia State now 5-3 on the season. The Montana Grizzlies will be here at the Sports Arena on Saturday afternoon. Right now, let's take a look at some of the highlights from Georgia State's overtime loss to the Liberty Flames.
Next step la Casa Blanca. No hay carro, no vamos en balsa. Mommy, you know the drill. They won't know what I got till they read the wheel. I ain't trying to keep it real. I'm trying to keep wealth and that's for real. Pero mira que tú estás buena. Y mira que tú estás dura. Baby, no me hables más. Y tíramelo, mami chula. No games, you'll see. You can put the blame on me. Dale muñequita out ahí and let it rain over me.
Hi there, Panther fans. Dave Cohen, the host of the Georgia State Sports Update. I want to thank you for watching our coverage of Georgia State athletics all year here in the Sports Update. Our show's going to go on a brief hiatus for the holiday break. We'll be back on January the 18th, and at that time, we invite you to join us once again for the best coverage of Georgia State athletics here on GSU TV.
What's up, Georgia State Panther fans? This is Sean Elliott, your head football coach. What an exciting time. The AutoNation Cure Bowl is December 16th, and your Georgia State Panthers are playing in it versus Western Kentucky. We need your support. We need you to come down to Orlando on the 16th and show out for us. What a big opportunity for our university and our football program as we move forward and set the standard here at Georgia State.